first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my mom I'd make her homeless if she didn't leave my wife alone? I, 27 male, have had my mother, 48 female, living in my house since September 2020. My wife, 27 female, gave birth 2 months ago to my son. Ever since my wife and I got married, my mother would make snide remarks at my wife. I was too much of a coward to call it out at first, but I believed, for a while, that it had officially stopped. Besides the unnecessary comments here and there. Edited to add, I stand up for my wife all the time. It's just that for the first year and a half of our relationship, I did cower away. I was afraid to lose my family, but the only family I needed was my wife. My wife and I had very busy schedules, so even though we lived together and were married, we rarely saw each other. She loved her job, but I made a selfish decision to ask her to leave it. She was hesitant, but agreed to it. She still makes money from her small business, but she obviously is now a stay-at-home. My mother ended up losing her home a couple months back. I live the closest and have the biggest home, 10-bedroom, so she came to us. My mother keeps making comments like, she needs a job. She's going to drain you of money? My wife would also come up to me and tell me to not say anything to my mother, that my mother needs somewhere to stay, and that she, my wife, can handle it. I've been in online conferences for the last 2 weeks, so I haven't had much time to spend with my son. For the past 3 days, I haven't had any calls or work to do, so I've been telling my wife to stay in bed and rest so I can look after our son. Yesterday, my wife was asleep in bed when my mother started screaming through our bedroom door, banging on it, calling my wife every name under the sun. When I ran into the corridor, she was screaming like a lunatic. My dogs, Blue Bay Shepherd and Siberian Husky, obviously got very defensive and backed her into a corner. I got into my bedroom and my wife was in the corner of the room crying with her head down. She was terrified. I ran to my mother and said that I'm going to kick her rolled butt to the curb. She wailed that I couldn't do that, but I screamed at her and told her to remember whose house she was in. She started to cry and I told her to pack up and get out by tomorrow. She started screaming, saying she had nowhere to go. I said that she could stay, but if she even looked to wife's direction, I'd kick her onto the street. Now my siblings are saying I'm the a-hole, and that I was too aggressive. I say that's total BS, because how else was I supposed to react to seeing my wife terrified and scared in a corner? I told them to take her, but they say they don't want her stressing them out. The only reason I think I might be the a-hole is because she seemed scared when I yelled at her. That, and because my wife is saying that she doesn't want my family to be mad at her, but I don't care. Now my mother is telling everyone my wife ganged up on her. The only reason I haven't dragged her out yet is because my wife says not to. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your siblings are hypocrites. They don't want their mom to live with them because she would stress them out, but are totally okay with her stressing you and your wife. Exactly. If any family member has a problem with it, then they can take her in. Not the a-hole. I got into my bedroom and my wife was in the corner of the room crying with her head down. She was terrified. If anything, what you did was underreaction to the abuse being hurled at the new mother in her own home. Your wife is being abused and afraid of more mistreatment, which is happening. Your reaction in support of her is everything it should be. Call them out for being toxic to a new mother. Challenge them to change or go low contact. Neither you nor your wife need that. Not the a-hole. She's projecting. You can suck it up all you want, it's up to you. But when anybody, be it mother, dad, or the freaking Pope badmouths your wife, your spine needs to shine. Period. Letting her disrespect your wife only shows that you're okay with it and don't respect your wife either. Your wife is a legend to put up with that for as long as she did, and you're too blind to even see it. Tell the a-hole siblings that you'll relay the message to mother that they are happy to take her in. Let them deal with her attitude instead. Update. She went for a walk, so I grabbed her stuff, threw it in a suitcase, and put it outside. My wife is currently cuddling with our son in bed. Told my brother that if he doesn't get her, she'll be spending the night outside of our padlock-secured gate. My wife has no idea. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that it is her fault that my mom called her the C-word? My mom and my wife hate each other. I spent a lot of time feeling like I had to pick my wife before I realized they are equally at fault and I should not have taken anyone's side. My mom babysat my kids the other night so we could have a date night. When we got home, my mom was asleep and my wife freaked out about how irresponsible that was. But a couple of important things. 1, the kids were also asleep and it was almost 11. 2, my stepdad was there and awake. 3, she was just resting with her head on his lap, so probably not even in a deep sleep. My wife screamed at my mom and called her a witch. My mom said my wife was acting crazy, and then said, "Oh my god, you are such a C." My wife freaked out because that word triggers her, and told them to get out. I thanked my mom for babysitting and hugged her, so we left on good terms, but my wife said that I should have defended her. I said she overreacted, didn't thank my mom, and if you call someone a witch, you might get called a name you don't like in return. My wife called my mother-in-law in the morning, and my mother-in-law lectured me about how my mom is irresponsible and the kids could have died, which I think is crazy dramatic. My wife and I sleep every night, and if one of the kids needs us, we wake up. My wife said that I should call my mom and lay down boundaries about how she can speak to her, but I said it is her fault for calling her a witch. OMG, you let your wife talk to your mom like that? Everyone sucks here. Your wife for treating your mother so abusively, and you for enabling it. Your mom is just a victim, as are your kids if they are witnessing this. Not sure what your mom and wife are like in other situations, but in this post your mom did literally nothing wrong. Your wife found a reason to nag, called your mom a terrible name after she was doing you a favor. And now by not shutting it down, you've enabled this crap to the point where your mother-in-law is lecturing you about your mom? Are you just never supposed to fall asleep then? Normally, I'm all about partners supporting each other, but your wife is on a different level. Like, I'm packing up and staying at my parents' house for a couple of weeks kind of level. This right here is the answer. You're the a-hole for letting your wife abuse her mother, who in this story did nothing wrong. Would you let one of your kids scream at your wife and call her names before hugging them and saying you guys are on good terms? Your parents are disappointed in you for allowing them to be abused, and sad for your kids living in this negative environment because they will pick up on the tension with your wife. The real question is, how much damage are you going to do to the kids and with your family before you decide to address the problems? I'm not jumping to leave your wife, but if you guys can't talk and this behavior continues, it's going to be ugly long term, and damage is being done now that may not be repairable. So, I'm a mom and didn't realize I was supposed to never sleep again. How does your wife handle never sleeping? Not the a-hole. Look, I hate my mother-in-law. Know what I do? I don't ask for favors from people I hate. Your wife is an a-hole. She hates your mother but takes favors from her, and then attacks as soon as she thinks she found a reason to. I don't see why your mother will babysit since it will benefit your irrational wife. Also, the stepfather was present and awake. In what reality would the mom be derelict in her duties? To me, the wife was spoiling for a fight, given their history, and she was grasping onto any excuse, however unreasonable it may be. Your position sounds reasonable, but wow. Can't imagine family members talk to each other like that. It seems very immature for both of these women. This kind of thing will affect the kids, and not in a good way. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my ex's emergency number to the woman pregnant with his niece? For context, my ex's married brother had an affair and got his mistress Olivia pregnant. Their family relies heavily on my ex to fill all of their problems, so has been the person to deal directly with Olivia and her family. I know all of this because my ex and I share a toddler together, so we have been living together during the lockdowns to make childcare easier and to work on things between us. My ex has an emergency number, which he only gives to a select few people. He only gave it to me after he found out I was pregnant. He made it clear I was only supposed to use the number in absolute emergencies, and not just because he wasn't responding fast enough on his regular number. So, my ex is on a business trip currently and isn't supposed to come back for at least another week. He's barely responded to my messages, so I'm assuming he's very busy. Olivia and her sister showed up to his house and demanded to see him. I explained he wasn't here, and she should call him if it's something important. She said he wasn't replying, and it was an emergency. I messed up by suggesting she call him on his emergency number since he responds a lot faster that way. They asked me for the number, but I didn't want to give it because he's super strict about that number, and I wasn't sure if he would get upset if I gave it out to people, so I refused. I offered to pass along a message if she would tell me what she wanted, but she told me it was a private family matter. They tried to convince me to give the number to them, but I kept refusing, and they eventually left after telling me I was an insensitive B-word, and that I didn't understand what it was like for Olivia, who is about to become a young struggling single mother. I felt bad after they left, so I told my sister about what happened, and she told me I should have just given her the number even if my ex got annoyed, since it might really be an emergency. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Why couldn't Olivia hit up the baby daddy for help or the emergency number? Best to stay out of other people's affairs. Pity you mentioned the secret number at all. He blocked her and won't speak to her at all since everything came out. Oh dear. The situation sounds quite unpleasant and Jerry Springer-like. Best avoid them in future if possible. Not the a-hole. Olivia isn't his problem, and he should probably stay out of that mess. If he wanted them to have the emergency number, they would have it. And if it was really an emergency, they would have told you what was going on so you could call. They would not have cared so much about privacy. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. It wasn't your number to give. And I can't think of a true emergency that needs baby daddy's brother. Medical emergencies can be handled by doctors, etc. Are you sure it's the brother's baby? It seems weird to have your brother be the go-between and have a pregnant girl show up on his doorsteps on his brother's behalf. Yes, I'm sure. If the baby was his, he would take responsibility. Also, this isn't the first time he's had to fix things for his brother. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for lashing out on my husband for his reaction to our baby gender reveal? So, me, female 29, and my husband, male 33, have been married for 2 years. I'm now pregnant. First time, and it's been difficult. I have anemia, but I'm getting treatment. We went for the doctor's appointment to find out the gender of our baby. My husband was excited, although he repeatedly said he guaranteed it was a boy with no evidence to back it up. We entered the doctor's office and he didn't stop feeling nervous, making me nervous too. Once the doctor said it was a girl, my husband's face went red. He stared at the doctor, then started asking if she was sure 15 times. He asked if she was sure this wasn't a recording footage of her previous patient, which made me feel embarrassed because this was a dumb question. He has zero idea how ultrasounds works. The doctor laughed, but he asked her to check again, and even tried to act smart to point out that it's actually a boy, but the doctor got it wrong. I told him to stop, but he started lashing out blatantly, saying he wasn't expecting this, and was in fact disappointed with the results. I felt mad, especially after he told the doctor we will be seeing another doctor, then get back to her to tell her she got it wrong, because he guaranteed it was a boy. I waited till we got home. I lashed at him and told him he got no right to speak to the doctor like that, and waste her time by getting her to check repeatedly. I said he embarrassed me, and he lashed back, saying he has a right to express how he felt, and that he was disappointed. We argued. Then he went to call his mom to tell her, although I asked him to wait to do it together. I called him childish for immediately calling his mom and getting her to text me, like it's my fault. I told him I'm going to stay at my mom's for 2 days because this is too much. He asked, how is it childish for me to call my mom and vent a little, but totally okay when you pack to go stay with your mom for 2 days? I was speechless. What response could I possibly have for this? He started texting saying ultrasound wasn't a good idea, but he'll just wait till our baby is born to find out since tests can't be 100% sure anyway. He said he wasn't trying to blame me for being pregnant with a girl, but how I reacted to his reaction. He planned to have 1 kid and that's it, preferably a boy, but it didn't happen, so he was disappointed. Again argued that I overreacted and mishandled his gender disappointment. My sister said I was wrong because his reaction was understandable and that he's free to express how he felt, so I shouldn't try to control his reaction. We're from Canada, by the way, if it's relevant. Not a a-hole. I know people throw around sexist a lot, but if someone is this disappointed about having a daughter instead of a son, they're sexist. Also, you shouldn't have to leave, especially while very pregnant, just because he is being an a-hole. Also, your child being a daughter instead of a son is because his sperm gave the X chromosome, not Y. He could use an 8th grade biology lesson too. You're right, absolutely. He has an argumentative personality and is always ready to make a big deal out of everything. He told me the problem is that I shouldn't try to control how he reacts and that he has the right to express his feeling. And I'm not against that, but I think he's being unbearable with his behavior. There are things that he seems to be a bit ignorant about, but that I would not excuse, of course. He's throwing a hissy fits and insulting medical professionals because of his own sexism and ignorance. But he's pretending that the problem is somehow your response? Not at a-hole. This isn't an argumentative personality. This is a whole bunch of red flags at once. How do you think he'll respond once your daughter is born? He needs to accept that the baby is a girl before the birth, or else he might react extremely bad. I feel like he only reined in his anger because he is hoping that the doctor was wrong. Wow, does he not realize that his sperm determined the gender of the baby? It's his fault he's having a girl. Gasp. He is an ass and needs to get his crap together. It's one thing to have a little disappointed let down when you get yourself hyped for one sex or the other. It's completely over the top to do what he did. Not at a-hole. Unless he can control the X and Y in his sperm, it is not his fault. It's nobody's. It is not even a fault. Run while you still can. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe. Update. Am I the a-hole for going to my ex-daughter-in-law's wedding? Original post. I, 56, have 2 children. Bob, 30 male, and Alice, 27 female. And this post is about Bob. He used to be married to my daughter-in-law Ruth, 28 female. That is, until 5 years ago, when Ruth discovered that Bob was cheating on her while she was pregnant with my granddaughter. I was really disappointed in my son. I taught him to be better than this. I am a single mom/widow. My husband died years ago, and I have remarried only after my kids were in their late teens. And I know for sure my late husband wouldn't approve of Bob's cheating. So, long story short, Bob, Ruth, and I had a fight. I told him I was very disappointed in him. How could he do this to his own wife? Bob yelled at me and said that I am his mother, not Ruth's, so I should be taking his side. I said no, I will not support his infidelity under any circumstances. My daughter also thinks that her brother is wrong, but she is neutral about it. Bob got mad and left the house, and I only saw him at the divorce hearings. I left him messages that if he wants to talk, I would be open to talk, but he didn't respond to any messages. Ruth was an orphan. She didn't have anyone else, so she saw me as her mother. So even after the divorce, she would visit me and bring me some gifts like flowers or cookies. I never stopped her. Ruth also never stopped calling me mom even after her divorce, and I love spending time with her and my granddaughter. About 3 years ago, I set up Ruth with my friend Patty's son John. Patty and I have been close friends since childhood. She knew Ruth really well and loved her too, and it was her idea to set her son up with my daughter-in-law. Ruth and John totally hit it off, and John also became a good father figure to her daughter. Recently, John and Ruth got married, and Ruth wanted me to be there to walk her down the aisle. She told me she walked down the aisle alone when she married my son, but now she wants me to walk her down. I was happy for it, so I said yes. The news soon reached my son, and he called me to again yell at me that what I am doing is wrong. I shouldn't be talking to Ruth because she and him are divorced. He forbade me to go. I told him he was being irrational, that even if he's divorced, that doesn't mean I have to cut off Ruth, then remind him that it was his poor choice that led him to this. I didn't listen to my son and went to the wedding anyways. My son got the news and was angry that he kept cursing me that I'm a deadbeat mom who left her own son for a cheap woman. He called me a hypocrite that I didn't go to his wedding when he married his mistress but was gallivanting at Ruth's wedding. My husband is with me, but he says my son has a point while my daughter says otherwise. Was I wrong to go at her wedding? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Your son ruined your granddaughter's family because he wanted to sleep around. He no longer has any leg to stand on for anything. I'm really glad that you see the situation for what it is, and that you and Ruth have each other. Not the a-hole. As a mother, it was a hard choice for me. I tried to be there for him, but his mistress was not a good person. She was a mutual friend of Ruth and my son. She knew that he was married, but still she pursued him. To me, that's not a quality woman. My soul couldn't just bring me to forget the fact that he was so cruel to Ruth when she was vulnerable. not the a-hole. I can understand how not picking your child's side would make you feel like you did a wrong thing. Son sounds like a spoiled brat who's missing out on his child's life. Be there for your granddaughter and her mother. Also, put some distance between you and your son until he stops verbally mistreating you. You're doing the right thing. Your son doesn't want to feel like he's in the wrong and will not change till he can accept that truth about himself and want to change. Good luck, OP. A parent's job is to teach their kids the right thing. If I support his cheating, that would be enabling him, which I don't want to. For now, I am putting some distance. The last time I had any contact, I messaged him, "You should calm down first and then talk to me. I cannot have a conversation with you if you are acting like a child." You did right, but your son is too selfish to understand how failure he have been. That in fact married his mistress and continued insulting the mother of his child proves it. You have principles and values. Unfortunately, too many people decide to act like nothing happens. But you did not, and good for you. Remind him that his mistress with a ring or not will never be accepted, and you refuse to be there until he decides to wake up and be the man/father he is supposed to be. He only pays child support, and I have hardly seen him spending time with his daughter. I hear Ruth complain about him always making excuses, and he only got more involved when my granddaughter was becoming close to John. I love my son, but I just wish he would have some decency. Edit/update. My son has emailed me to meet him. I guess I will have to meet him now. Now for the full update. First of all, thank you for all your comments. Although I got some late comments calling me a bad mom and a failure, it was nice to see people supporting me. It gave me strength to know I am/was not making a bad decision. So now on to the update. My son emailed me and said he wants to talk to me. I thought I should have a long conversation with him, so I agreed. But I made some ground rules. He is not allowed to criticize or call anyone any names like the last time and will be civil when I am talking. And he agreed. He came to my house yesterday at noon while my husband was off to work and my daughter was in her room. He sat down and there were moments of awkward silence. He asked me how I was and we had a small talk. I then asked him about his wife, and that's when he started to cry. Not ugly cry, just few tears, but I can tell he's not doing well. So I sat beside him and told him he can tell me. Then he tells me everything. He tells me that he is sorry for how he reacted, that he understands why I might be ashamed of him. He later tells me his marriage is not going well, that his wife is no way near as good as Ruth was. Ruth took care of all his needs and loved him, yet he treated Ruth like trash. And now he is constantly fighting with his new wife. He knew he messed up a lot, which he learned the last time he visited his daughter and she kept referring John as her dad. Bob tried to make her say the word dad to him, and she screamed saying, "You are not my dad." He saw how much happy Ruth was with another man, and he realized what he has lost. I asked him, "Would you have missed Ruth if your wife did those same things for you like Ruth did?" He was silent. I further told him it seems to me that he only kept Ruth in his life because he used her to fulfill his needs. I explained to him about my relationship with his father. We were with each other, not because I fulfilled his needs. We were with each other because we loved each other. And that love didn't stop when one person was at the most vulnerable and weak. But he left Ruth when she was vulnerable and needed him the most. His needs were fulfilled when Ruth was just a housewife working a small job. But as soon as she's no longer needed, he discarded her. It really hit him hard as he was sobbing. He said that he knows he was an awful person, but he was manipulated by that witch, referring to his current wife. To be honest, I lost my cool and yelled that he should stop blaming other people for his mistake. It was his decision to cheat. It was his decision to leave Ruth. And it was his decision to abandon his daughter. He cannot run away from his responsibilities and wonder why nobody is taking his side. Moreover, he hasn't learned anything from his mistakes, because he is still calling his wife vile names. This is the same woman she claimed is better than Ruth. He had a choice not to cheat. He could have pushed her away when she tried to seduce him, but he didn't because in his mind, he made this fantasy that Ruth doesn't care about him, because all she ever wanted was to complete her education. I raised him better than this, and he is not just insulting my upbringing. He is also insulting his own father, and he will only see suffering in his life unless he takes full accountability of his actions. He told me he knows I was disappointed in him, and he wants to make things right. That he is trapped in a bad marriage because God is punishing him for how he treated his daughter and ex-wife. I told him that if he wants to be a good man, he should start by apologizing to Ruth and become cordial with his daughter. I also gave him a reality check that his daughter already sees John as her dad. So I have doubts she would start calling him dad anytime soon, but he would at least try. I told him to apologize to his sister as well. If he is really miserable in his marriage, he should get a divorce or try counseling. Whatever decisions he makes, I will support him. But that does not mean I will forgive his wife, because she has also did Ruth wrong. Unless she makes an apology to Ruth, I don't think I can see her as a decent person. Lastly, I told him that even though I am very disappointed in him, I still love him. I will always guide him to what is right. He will always be my son, but this is his chance to be a better man. I believe in second chances, and this time I hope he cleans up his act. I am proud of him that he acknowledges his wrongdoings. You're a good mom and person. Sometimes it's impossible to outparent patriarchal entitlement. My husband is a wonderful, supportive, loving guy who takes on 50% of the mental load and doesn't think he's a hero for doing so, while his brother is divorced with 2 little ones and just sucks. No cheating, but definitely a similar mindset of only valuing women for how they're supporting him. Same parents. You know, sometimes you can give everything you have, yet the kids will turn bad. You can't predict everything. I am glad Opie made a mature decision. Opie, do your son a favor. Get some therapy recommendations for him and hand him the list. On things like this, one doesn't just clean up his act. That is vague and doesn't tell him how to do it. We need to do with the pull yourself up by the bootstraps mentality when it comes to stuff like this. If he wants to do the work to improve his relationship with his daughter, he has to work on himself, though she can have 2 dads, frankly speaking. I told him he should get therapy. If he needs money for that, I will give it to him, but he does need therapy. About his daughter, I still have hope. Bob said he has tried to be there for his daughter, but his daughter still wants John as her dad. He has to start with baby steps. He can arrange the custody with Ruth, or simply make full use of his visitations. Despite the possible eureka moment, I have my doubts the son will actually try and make amends. Or if he does, it will be short-lived, as soon as he realizes how much effort is involved. For his daughter's sake, I hope I'm wrong. Daughter already has a good dad and sounds better off with bio dad at a distance. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my mom now that her husband is sick and throwing the past in her face when she pleaded with me? My mom and I, 25, female, have a contentious relationship. We have been mostly estranged for the last 7 years. I say mostly because she has made some effort to stay in touch, while I faded away. My dad died when I was 4. Mom and him were not married, but they were together. She leaned heavily on my dad's family for a couple of years. Then she moved us away so she could start a better life for us. After moving, she met John and married him. And since then, I was told more than once by John and my mom that John was now my father. And I was told to call him dad, refer to him as dad with others, and not to correct anyone who used the term dad/father, while I was to correct those who said he was my stepdad. I didn't want to do this, but I was punished, and John yelled at me multiple times for disrespecting his love. And I was berated and told he was stepping up to take me on as his daughter, and the least I could do is to respect him as a father. When my mom gave John children, it became very clear he never saw me as his. I was treated differently. I was not given the same anything, yet the rules remained in place that I called John dad and would get punished for any instance of not. Mom always took his side, always backed him up, always agreed that he deserved some kind of respect for his stuff. I still have some bitterness over this. I didn't want John to be my father, but at the very least, if I'm going to be forced to address him as such and to correct people who spoke the truth, I felt like I should have been treated better at least. But that didn't happen, and I moved out the day I turned 18 and stopped speaking to or seeing my mom and John. She would reach out. Sometimes I would read or listen to her speak, but I felt good not having them around. Now, John has been diagnosed with a neurological condition and my mom is caring for him. She asked me to come and help her, to help him, to help out their children. But I refused. She told me she needed me, they needed me, and that I'm their daughter. I told her I didn't care, I wouldn't help. And after everything they had done, they deserved nothing from me. I told her she failed me as a mother, and as far as I was concerned, they were already dead and buried, and nothing to do with me. She said I was being unfair, holding on to the past too much, and lacking in compassion. She tried to tell me to think of the good times. I told her she failed me. She forced me to say stuff I didn't want to say as a kid in order to appease her husband who didn't treat me like his kid anyway. Now a family friend reached out after the disagreement, and told me I should be ashamed. And while they were imperfect back then, they are still my family. And that I piled on a woman who is doing the hardest job imaginable, which is caring for a sick loved one. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Huge not the a-hole. Your mom and stepdad both failed you as parents. Both of them disrespected your memory of your father. Your stepdad forcing you to call him something he wasn't entitled to and didn't live up to. Your mom choosing him and his kids over you. I mean, the only parent you had left didn't want to protect you. Now she can live by her choice. That family friend can help her if she is so concerned. Because it turns out she is not your friend. Children are dependent on the grown-ups. So when people don't support their kids when they need it, they can't expect to get support when they get older. I wish you a great life and future. Did you ever reach out to your real father's family? Yes, I have them in my life again. They were around as much as they could be when I was a kid, but it was very, very infrequent. The ex forgets. The tree remembers. Well, not entirely. The ex remembers that it lost some sharpness. Go get an apology from John. Then cut contact. Tell them you'll get back in 15 or so years. That's how long they made you wait. Tell your family friend they should be ashamed for not caring for an abused kid. And they can go help the abusers. And then to get lost. Not the a-hole. You have nothing to be ashamed of. Not the a-hole, and tell the family friend to help your mother if they are so concerned. And ask where they were during her mistreatment. Not the a-hole. People tend to get very selective in their memories of how things happened when it suits their needs. And do they need you or your money? For 7 years, he decided he was no longer your father. And your mother made only a token effort to remain in contact. Now there is a need on their part for help. They've decided you are part of their family? You feel that your mother failed you, and that he wanted a title of a father without reciprocating and giving you what you needed as a daughter. Feel free to walk away with a clear conscience. People tend to get very selective in their memories of how things happened when it suits their needs. Yes, 100%. A lot of folks seem to think that abusers commonly forget what they did, just because they say they can't remember specific memories when they're confronted with them. Even if they truly can't recall a particular instance, that doesn't mean they've just forgotten that they were horrible in general. A family friend reached out after the disagreement and told me I should be ashamed, and while they were imperfect back then, they are still my family. There's imperfect and then there's abusive. That so-called friend is lucky they never had to learn the difference. Not the a-hole. Block them all. Enjoy being young and free. And join us here in r/raised by narcissists if you like. Update. Am I wrong for not giving my cheating wife another chance? Original post. Me 39 male and my wife 33 female have been together for 13 years. She recently went away on a girls' trip. I was not worried at all. I've never had a reason to distrust her. She has never done anything to give me a cause for concern. And it's not like she was even going abroad. She was going to a Butlins half an hour away for God's sake. She went with her sister and a few other girls. She called me up this morning and I didn't expect anything other than her checking in. She's only been one night of a 3-night trip. When I answered, she was crying and incoherent. When I finally calmed her down, she told me she had slept with someone else the night before. Supposedly, she met a guy who she approached. They flirted a little and danced together, and she thought that was as far as it would go. But he supposedly just charmed her into a kiss, which turned to making out, which turned her to asking him to walk her back to her hotel, which turned into them doing the deed. She says nothing was amiss. It wasn't pushy or weird, and they actually did it multiple times, because she would say they need to stop and he would stop immediately, and then after a few minutes she'd want him to carry on and he would. And he supposedly never even finished because of this stop/starting. This supposedly went on for 3 hours, and she eventually said stop for good and asked him to leave, and he did. The guy is supposedly 10 years younger than her, and she said she lied and told him she was going through a divorce. She says she doesn't know what came over her, and she just wanted to see if she still had it, but got carried away. 14 years, married for 10, and we have a 7-year-old daughter. I want to leave her. She's begging me not to, offering marriage counseling, never going out again, never drinking again, etc., etc. But I've always been a one-chance sort of guy. I just told her to go screw herself and have been ignoring her since about 10 a.m. Now her friends and sister are calling me too. They apparently had no idea she'd even gone home with him. I saw them talking but thought nothing of it. I just want them all to leave me alone. I told my mom about it and she said I should think of my family and that my wife seems genuinely remorseful and didn't try and hide anything and came clean straight away. That it's not like she had an affair, and that as bad as it is, this is best case scenario. After that conversation, I feel like I'm insane. Am I wrong for not even considering forgiving her? Now for the top comments before reading the update. You're not wrong at all. She broke your trust. Now every time she goes anywhere, will she do this again? And she didn't hook up with him one time. She told you it was multiple times. Turn your phone off and take your daughter out for a meal. Spend time with her before your wife gets home and starts love bombing you both and strong-arming you. She approached the guy. She invited him to her room. She did him multiple times. Kind of weird that she felt so remorseful afterward, isn't it? I'm betting someone else on that trip threatened to tell her husband if she didn't. And on day one of the girl's trip? Wonder if she used protection with all that stopping and starting again and again. Also, think his mom cheated, and that's why she's like, it's fine, it wasn't an affair. Best case scenario is his wife kept it in her pants, mom. She didn't. So she's willing to not only nuke her marriage and family, she's willing to expose herself and you to all kinds of diseases. She sounds unhinged. As for your mother telling you to think of your family, why does that advice apply to you? You have done no wrong. Your wife threw her family off the roof. She's the one who should be getting a lecture. Why is everyone blowing up your phone? Why are you the bad guy? Why is it everyone and their mother berating and ridiculing your wife? Why are you supposed to roll over and take it? Why do you need to be a doormat? Call a divorce lawyer now. Don't expose yourself to any germs she may drag home. She told her affair partner that she was going through a divorce. Time to make an honest woman of her and divorce her. Best, most succinct answer. I do agree. The sad part is you can almost bet she's long had a desire to try out someone else in the bedroom. Her girl's trip just gave her the perfect excuse. I seriously doubt it was out of the blue in one night. There's a chance it could be, but I'd go with her having been thinking about it. That part hit me. She had her hook already before meeting that guy. She knew exactly what she wanted to say to convince some random that she was single and up for it. That means she'd been thinking about it for some time before actually doing it. This wasn't the spur of the moment overwhelming feelings as the wife is claiming. The specific guy wasn't planned, but the cheating was. Trust is broken. You are not wrong. Some will do marriage counseling, but I personally couldn't forgive this. 3 hours of deception is a long time, and she knew it was wrong. I'm so sorry, OP. I get the one and done 100%. 3 hours is crazy. That's not just a mistake or lapse in judgment. Now for the update. So my wife came home tonight after giving me the day to cool off. I asked to see the guy. I don't know why. Maybe I'm a sucker for punishment. And of course, he looks like a superhero. So that's great. Guy looks like Anthony Joshua or something. For the record, my wife is beautiful. Like perfect teeth, works out regularly, etc. I'm not ugly, but I'm just a typical English guy. Not overweight, but could probably lose a few pounds. Bit of a dad bod, etc. Still have a full head of hair, which is nice. I always felt so lucky to be with her. She was an amazing partner, an amazing mother, funny, intelligent, etc. I asked her to lay out what happened to me in more detail. I wanted to catch any lies/changes in the story/test her consistency. She basically says she was at the bar and the guy was stood next to her. They glanced at each other and she said, "Where did you came from?" to him. He asked what she meant and she said he was the first handsome man she'd seen. And that's how the conversation got started. As for her telling him she was divorcing, that happened when he glanced down, noticed her ring, and asked her about it. Apparently, once she said that, he went on to say, "Not like I care either way." What a gent. I asked if she thinks he could have slipped her anything, and she says it's impossible, because they only did shots together. I asked if she took any drugs, and she admitted to doing coke with her friends, which isn't all that surprising. If you're from the UK and you're into drinking culture, it's pretty standard. A few of you seem to be American, so let me explain what exactly a Butlins is. It's basically a holiday resort, usually for families, but they sometimes host adult-exclusive weekends where it's a pretty big party place. It's cheap and grimy and can be a lot of fun. People dress up, there's DJs, live music, multiple venues, and late-night entertainment, etc. As for people saying she got caught by her friends, she actually didn't. She disappeared with a guy and went home with him. Texted her friends she was tired and wanted to go to sleep, and as they were on a resort and the hotel is like a 3-minute walk, they all just said to text when she was safe in her room. She was sharing a room with her sister, but she was in their other friend's room, drinking and doing coke because they thought she was sleeping. She told the guy to leave at around 6 a.m. because she thought her sister might be coming back soon, as that's when the party usually winds down. I asked her how many times she did it with a guy, and she said 4 or 5, lasting between 5 to 10 minutes each time. Apparently, even after cheating, she never thought she'd sleep with a guy. She says she just wanted to give him oral, so she did that. But the guy said he could only finish if he goes all the way. She didn't believe him. Until 20 minutes later, she still wasn't done, so she gave up and climbed on top of him. But then after about 5 minutes, she thought, "What the heck am I doing?" and got off him. Then lay there and cuddled him and drank more, and then 10 minutes later they would be touching each other again. This repeated 4 or 5 times. She says that she kept thinking it was wrong, but then would think it's too late now anyway, so might as well carry on, and basically go through a loop of that. I asked her why she felt the need to see if she still had it, and she says since she hit 30, she's been self-conscious of her aging. That when she spots a new wrinkle or something, it drives her to tears. She said that chatting to the guy made her feel young again, and she latched onto that. Also, apparently the guy was there with a girl, who my wife said looked like a younger version of herself. And the guy pointed her out to my wife and said, "That girl over there watching us has a crush on me," and laughed about it. After he had been talking to my wife for like 30 minutes, the girl had enough, walked over, and kicked the table, spilling the guy's drink and then stormed off. She says that a guy picking her over a younger woman drove her ego crazy, and that was when she decided to kiss him. I asked her why she even told me, and she said that when she woke up, she saw I'd sent a selfie of me and our daughter eating pizza together, and it sent her into a nervous breakdown. That she was wailing and sobbing so loud, it woke up her sister, and that's when she confessed. Her sister told her she was insane for what she did, and wasn't very comforting, and then left the room mad at her, which made it worse. And that's when she called me. I've asked her to leave the house for a few days, and she's staying at her mother's house while I decide what I want to do. She begged me not to make her leave, but she did when I said it was the least she could do after blowing up our entire lives over wrinkles making her sad. As for my mother, she still thinks I should forgive her. For context, my dad died about a year ago, and my wife has really been a rock for my mom. I cannot see her as much as I would like due to my work, but my wife is a self-employed lash/nail tech and has a lot of free time, which she uses to spend with my mom. To keep her company, do her hair, and have girly days to try and make sure she doesn't get lonely. Like I said, she was such a perfect partner. No, I don't think my mom is a cheater or whatever, and she's very angry at my wife. But she loves her and she just wants everything to be okay. My daughter has no idea what is happening. She was already asleep when my wife came and went again. She will just think mommy's still on holiday. I still have no idea what I'm going to do. Honestly, I'm still reeling. But that's basically everything. Do people just have no self-control? You have to want to be in control to do so, unfortunately. I don't understand people who cheat for an ego boost. A good-looking person wants to use me so they can get off, and that suddenly means I'm worthy? Get the heck out of here! Especially for a woman, it's so easy for a woman to find no-strings-attached hookups, no matter what she looks like. If by got it she means still a sucker, then sure. Right? Also, if it really just the ego boost, the fact they approached you should be enough. You say thanks but no thanks and carry on. Wife is 100% holding some other reason back. Soon-to-be ex only regrets what she did because her life is now crumbling around her. She blew up her life, OP's life and her daughter's life due to her selfishness. No sympathy for her. She was looking for an ego boost and was willing to get it at a cost of the people who love her. A new wrinkle set her off? Yeesh. So much for growing old together. Ever since she turned 30, she's starting worrying about aging and wrinkles. Oh, is she in for a shock? Signed, a 70-year-old woman. Nah, that was just a weak excuse she came up with after the fact. She wanted to fool around. And coke probably wasn't great for impulse control. Opie will be better off without her. But I hope Opie can keep a close eye on things with his ex when she has their daughter. I would be distinctly uncomfortable knowing my child was in the care of a regular coke user. Last story. Am I the a-hole for feeling insecure and confronting my wife after she gave her number to a guy at a cultural event? Hello Reddit, this is a throwaway account as my wife also see my posts on the main one. I'm reaching out because I need some outside perspective on something that happened last night which has left me feeling quite conflicted. My wife attended a cultural event with some friends, and this morning, after I asked if anything happened that I should be aware of, she mentioned that a guy, a friend of her friend, had asked for a kiss towards the end of the night. She assured me she declined his request. This revelation made me feel insecure, prompting me to ask her a series of questions. I appreciate her honesty in telling me about this incident without any prompting, which clearly shows she was trying to not hide anything from me. However, my insecurities got the better of me, and I asked if she had added him on any social media platforms, to which she answered no. Later that day, I saw a notification on her phone from this man, thanking her for giving him her number and expressing how much he enjoyed meeting her. I confronted her about this. I want to clarify that my confrontation was not out of a belief that she did anything wrong, but rather because I felt that she should have mentioned she had given out her number when I asked about social media. She explained that everyone exchanged numbers at the beginning of the event before he had made any advances, and she didn't think it was significant to mention, especially since she had forgotten about it by the time I asked. She is now upset with me for what she perceives as possessive behavior. I admit that my insecurities led me to ask multiple questions, but I still believe that asking such questions is part of a healthy relationship dynamic, especially when feeling uneasy about a situation. Am I the a-hole for feeling insecure about this situation and confronting my wife for not telling me she gave out her number, despite initially being upfront about another advance from the same guy? Edit for clarification. I was on the couch with her when she received the first message, so she never replied to him. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. I would ask her to block the number and delete it, as this man has no respect for your marriage, and will likely keep contacting her. If I do this, then I will probably be accused of being possessive, right? I'm always stuck on expectations that I can't say out loud because it becomes forced, or toxic if forced. Don't let people who are out to destroy your marriage into your lives. This man has already shown his intentions. His wife is the freaking problem here, not the guy. What is mind-boggling is that she gave another man her personal cell phone number. How the heck does she not realize that this behavior is problematic? OP should ask her how she would feel if he gave his phone number to a random woman at an event and then said woman ask for a kiss. I am married 20 plus years. I respect my husband and boundaries. If a man asks for my number and for some reason they miss the wedding ring, I say I am married, smile, walk away. She gave him the number before his behavior, so not a big deal there. But after asking to kiss her and then messaging her, she should not respond and block his number out of respect for her marriage. That isn't being possessive. I'm so sick of hearing this BS nonsense about controlling or possessive people while actively disrespecting their marriages. Pathetic. If she wants to entertain other men, she can do it single. Thank you. I don't know if it's a generational thing or an empowerment thing or what, but I see it on here all the time. Don't let people that don't respect your partner or your relationship into your life. It's that simple. It's not controlling to expect your significant other to abide by this. Yeah, that's a big not the a-hole. Him having her number isn't a big deal. It became a big deal when he made a pass at her and she didn't tell you about it. Now, people are human, but her reaction makes me think it wasn't as one-sided as she is making it seem. If it were a mistake, likely the response would be, oh crap, I completely forgot we all exchanged numbers. Ew, not going to reply to him. But she attacked you instead. Yeah, that's what got me insecure actually. I clearly asked her, and later on saw the exact moment the first message arrived. She says that it's a hard work to always have to describe everything that happens whenever she goes out, and is genuinely upset at me for making a big deal out of this. Nah, a dude trying to kiss her is a big deal. If she's not making a big deal of it, I'm concerned.